Welcome to this webinar where we're going to consider ESS Biz Tools, and in particular some of the issues that are confronting the accountancy profession at present. If you have any questions during the webinar, can you please type in your question, and in webinar jargon raise your hand, and I will answer your questions during the webinar. If you think of a question later on after the webinar is finished, by all means please send us an email and we will get an answer back to you. So what we're going to look at today is give you an overview of what's included in ESS Biz Tools. We've got a wide range of services, products and tools, business advisory services, a newsletter which our accounting firms around Australia badge and place their name and address on, client mentoring and coaching which helps with education of your clients of the sort of services that are available to them, leadership, and then client seminars, and then the papers themselves. And we have another product which is part of the ESS Biz Tools Gold package, and that's ESS Biz Grants, which assists accountants to identify government grants that clients might be interested in. So what comprises the ESS Biz Tools product is papers or articles, PowerPoint slides. So there's a set of PowerPoint slides for every paper. There are 480 papers targeted at small businesses. There's hundreds of forms, there's standard letters, and there's YouTube recordings that are available to help you deliver non-compliance services. So what you have on the screen at present is the chart as to how everything works within ESS Biz Tools. We have the papers, which are the start of it all, and from that we've then developed products. We've got business advisory services, which are dissected into two distinct groups. Group A is the preparation to get an accountancy business ready to deliver worthwhile business advisory services, and Part B is 13 product modules that are prepared, ready for use by our accounting firm subscribers. Business Plus newsletter is a newsletter which we've been producing for the last 7 years. It's a newsletter that's written so that accountants who are subscribers can badge it, put their logos on it, name, address, etc., and send it to their clients. It's produced 13 times a year. There's no edition in January, but there are 2 extras in May, one on the federal budget as it affects small business, and the second one on an end-of-year tax planning checklist. Client mentoring and coaching is material that has been assembled in such a way that you can send it to your clients to educate the client in the type of services that an accountancy business is providing to them. I don't believe that you can assume that your clients know that you're providing business advisory services or non-compliance services. You have to tell them, you have to educate them as to what those services are. For many accountancy firms in Australia, the traditional services have been an annual set of accounts and a tax return. Allied with that is Australian Securities Commission annual return forms and superannuation work, but the bulk of the work has been in this compliance area. And it's dangerous to assume that your small medium enterprise clients understand that you might be interested in providing a wider range of services. Indeed, at the Smith Inc. conference on the Gold Coast in February this year, one of the speakers was from a accountancy firm in the city area who indicated that he was reviewing a client's profit and loss account. The client had been with the firm for 15 years, and he noticed an entry for business advice, $26,000. Now, he knew it wasn't their fee. Their accountancy fee was about $5,000. So he rang the client and inquired what this $26,000 was for. And the client replied, "Oh, I've got a coach. I've employed a business coach." The accountant said that he then said to the client, "Well, you know, we could have provided those services." He indicated that the phone went dead for about 30 seconds. And then the client said to him, "Bill, I've been your client for 15 years. You've done a great job on tax and accounts and superannuation funds and recently in some financial planning areas. But neither you nor anyone else in your firm has ever mentioned to me that you could have done some of the work that the business coach has done for me." Bill, who's a fictitious name I'm giving the accountant, of course, said that he was stunned. He had not realised that clients had no idea that they might have been interested in doing some other work. So therefore, I don't think anyone can really assume that clients understand. The client mentoring and coaching modules are meant to help you educate your clients as to what the new type of services that you can do. Leadership modules have been written by a separate consultant, Peter McDougall from Leadership Academy. McDougall's an ex-colonel in the Australian Army, but for the last 20 years has been conducting leadership training seminars throughout Australia and Asia, primarily for government departments and big business, mainly big mining companies. I convinced him to write a series for small business, and that's what he's done. It can be delivered by accountants, but his recommendation is that first of all, you utilise the principles of leadership that he espouses in his 9 modules. It's within ESS Biz Tools for leadership within your own accountancy business. And then we got client seminars. That was one of the first products we developed quite a few years ago now, whereby we've developed material to help you utilise the products and systems to promote and market your accountancy business. I still believe that seminars and webinars are probably the best way of promoting your accountancy business. And then we got hundreds of client tools and forms, and there's video tutorials. And last but not least, we got ESS Biz Grants, which is a product that was developed following a discussion with David Smith from Smith Inc. 2020 3 or 4 years ago now, when he indicated to me that there was a lot of concern from small, medium enterprise operators that their accountants, who they believe were their trusted advisor, were not keeping them informed of government grants. And he suggested that we write a product. Part of Smith's brief to me was that the accountants don't necessarily want to have to become experts in the government grants. So we've become the experts, we've written the material, and your role is to insert some answers to some fairly basic questions about the client, and then answer a few more detailed questions so that the system, ESS Biz Grants, can then identify grants that might be suitable for that particular business. It will then produce a report for you, which you can sit down and have a conversation with your client. And one of the other big benefits that a lot of accountants are missing out of government grants is there's a significant amount of work that accountants who are prepared to perform business advisory services can obtain from government grants. The largest numerical number of government grants being issued in Australia is by Enterprise Connect. Yet I'm continually amazed at the number of accountants around Australia who don't seem to know anything about Enterprise Connect, or for that matter, anything about grants generally. The system for Enterprise Connect is it now applies to 13 distinct industry groups around Australia. I'd be amazed if there wasn't quite a number of potential applicants for grants within every accountancy business in Australia. And on a number of occasions we've proven that when people have said, "Oh, we've got no clients here that might be interested in grants," we've asked them to run the system, put the details in. It takes about 6 minutes to put the basic information in, and another 5 to 6 minutes to answer the more advanced questions. And yet you could then earn for your client a grant of $20,000, potentially up to $2 million. But let's concentrate on the small ones, $20,000, and there's work there that the accountant do. What I want to move on to now is some of the challenges that are facing accountants in 2014. We've been talking about some of these issues over the last few weeks, and in our podcasts that we've been sending out, which presumably the participants in this webinar today have received. And I just want to talk about these issues because I've been around the accountancy industry for a long time, over 30 odd years, but I suspect that we're in for some very difficult circumstances over the next few years. This all started, first of all, with Deloitte, who wrote a very interesting report called Digital Disruption. If you haven't read it, please do so, or if you want a link to it, send us an email at the end of this webinar. We will send it to you. We have been sending it to hundreds of accountants around Australia over the last 6 or 7 months. And then we have an article that was attributed to Guy Swigers, CEO of Deloitte, that appeared in the Business Review Weekly on the 31st of October under the heading Kill or Be Killed. Very dramatic headline for an article on a page that's also headed Professions. And then we've got the concerns that are coming back from clients. Debtors days outstanding. Dun & Bradstreet are saying it's 54 days. The Personal Property Securities Register. There's a lot of concerns out there at present in the marketplace that most of the small business community seem to be ignorant of how the Personal Property Securities Register works, and it's starting to cost people millions of dollars because the courts are saying they haven't got a legitimate right to property that they own. Staggering, but true. And our podcast for this week is on management of costs, another very interesting area. So let's just have a look at some of those, and I'll be explaining as we go through this how within ESS Biz Tools we have developed products which will help you supply answers to these items. First of all, looking at digital disruption, this report that Deloitte's produced. Now, they produced it in September 2012, so it's 14 or 15 months old already. And they're saying that 32% of the Australian economy will suffer from this short-fused Big Bang phenomenon. And they've identified here, first of all, the number of years that they believe this was going to emerge over. So 0 through to 3 years. And they've identified the percentage of change that's going to occur in these businesses. And they've identified retail, trade, arts, ICT, media, professional services. Now, we've put a big red ring around that because that obviously includes accountancy businesses. And the Deloitte report says that it's going to be somewhere around about a 32% change, and it's going to occur over a 2.5 to 2 3/4 year period. Have you taken any steps in your firm to even think about this and plan for it? 32% is a big disruption, and that's average. So presumably that means that some firms could potentially suffer up around about a 50% figure. Now, it's not all doom and gloom. In the Deloitte report, they then list 3 potential responses to digital disruption. Recalibrating cost structures, which really means that businesses need to have a very close look at their costs. Replenishing revenue streams, which is the response that best suits what ESS Biz Tools has to offer, because we believe it's essential that accountants develop some new revenue streams. And the easiest way to do that is from non-compliance services. Accountants have got a significant advantage over other businesses that might be under that general heading of professional services that Deloitte's referred to. That would include legal firms, probably marketing firms. Not many other businesses have got the opportunity of supplying a new range of services to their clients. But if accountants don't move and grab this opportunity from their small, medium enterprise clients, many of whom have been telling survey after survey that they require additional services, then other people will do so. There are business coaches out there, and I just gave you an example of one, where the client was very happy to be paying their $26,000. It is one way that accountants can replenish their revenue streams. The other way that Deloitte is suggesting is reshaping corporate strategies. That's a lot harder, more advanced. We think the answer is to replenish revenue streams. That challenge is for you to answer, of course, but that's what we'd be suggesting you seriously look at. And we believe that within ESS Biz Tools, we have the products to help you. Now, the Deloitte CEO made the following comments in the Business Review weekly article on the 31st of October. And I suspect he's getting a bit despondent because not everyone's taken up the challenge that they laid down in digital disruption. He's saying that accountants are doomed unless they respond to the threat of digital disruption, which is part of their earlier report. Volatility coupled with digital change will continue to challenge first. And the most telling statement that Swigers made was, it will get worse and worse and worse, and then when you think it can't get worse, it will continue to get worse. Now, ladies and gentlemen, it's really up to you to decide how serious your firm is going to react to the predictions from Deloitte. I have made some inquiries, and I'm told that Deloitte have spent considerable sums of money in undertaking the research they have done, and that they are convinced that their predictions are accurate. Some accountancy firms will obviously skate through whatever benefits that they have, but most firms are going to have some significant changes. Have you got a strategy to overcome them? We believe that the products within ESS Biz Tools will assist you to offer a wider range of services to replenish that revenue stream. So let's now look at another issue that's causing considerable concern to small business operators, and that's debtors management. And this is an easy area for accountants to get involved in. Dun & Bradstreet are saying that debtors days outstanding are 54 days. Clients need assistance. How many of your clients have got a written system for their debtors? How many of them know how to calculate this magical debtors days outstanding? Do they realize that in most businesses that should only be 30 days, not 54 days? Have they got a debtors recovery system? Have they got a document such as a debtors reduction checklist, which will help them identify the key debtors that they've got to recover extra money from this week or next week? We believe it is work that you as the accountant can readily supply to them. And within ESS Biz Tools, we have a complete module of procedures on how we suggest you go about reviewing your client's debtors, and we have a pre-prepared debtors systems manual that you can badge with your name and install it within your client's system, so they do have a written system. And obviously you can edit that if you need to edit it to suit the client's particular requirements within their business. Personal Property Securities Register. Now this becomes fully operational from the 31st of January 2014. There's some very disturbing reports starting to get published that very small numbers of small medium enterprises have registered their transactions on the Personal Property Securities Register. Now this might be because those SME businesses have done a full evaluation and have decided that the customers they're dealing with are very soundly run businesses, and there's no chance of them going to the wall. But I don't believe that, and I don't know whether you will. I think there's a lot of ignorance out there. If accountants are the key advisors to small business, then I believe we've all got the responsibility to be communicating very clearly to a wide range of businesses about the necessity to really consider their position on the Personal Property Securities Register. Quite frankly, I'm alarmed that this piece of legislation even got through the Australian Parliament, because it seems to have destroyed the historical concept we had of something that you owned. If I left a computer at a client's premises, I always had the idea I could go back and pick it up next day and bring it back home. But that's really not quite the situation anymore when you look at a liberal interpretation of the Personal Property Securities Register. Maybe a client's not the best example to use there, but it could happen. There's been some major problems in the construction industry whereby subcontractors have had extreme difficulty in being able to remove plant and equipment, scaffolding, formwork, tools from a construction site when the builder has got into financial difficulties and a liquidator has been appointed. In many instances, it would appear, from what I've been able to read in the media, that the small business operator had not appropriately protected himself or herself under the Personal Property Securities Register. As I said before, I find it very difficult to understand where if you own something and you leave it, such as scaffolding, on a building site, and the builder gets into financial difficulties and a liquidator is appointed, suddenly your ownership of that scaffolding or tools can be placed at risk. But that seems to be the law, or is the law. And I think we all should be having very close looks at that to say, how is it going to affect your individual clients? There's been a number of court cases in New Zealand, and this legislation was based on some legislation introduced in Canada and New Zealand in 2002. And already there's been a number of court cases in New Zealand and some in Australia, whereby millions of dollars have been lost by the people that you and I would say are the legitimate owners of plant and equipment or racehorses. In one case in New Zealand, a stallion had been leased to a pastoral property for a period of time. The pastoral property got into difficulties, a liquidator was appointed, and the court ruled in New Zealand that the liquidator was entitled to sell that horse, that stallion. And they sold it for $2 million, and they used the proceeds to pay up the secured creditor. Now, the Australian courts, in a couple of the decisions that have been made, are following the New Zealand decisions. So are your clients fully aware of how the PPSR is working? Within ESS Biz Tools, we have developed a paper on the Personal Property Securities Register, which is available to our subscribers, and by the middle of January, we will have finalised our Business Advisory Services module on the Personal Property Securities Register, which will look at a range of industries that can be affected, because this can affect farmers. Now, some of it's great. It's helping protect their investment in various items. But it also comes into play with the Ramalpa causes. A lot of small businesses obviously think that their Ramalpa causes that they may have had 5-6 years ago are still effective. They should be reviewed, but then they need to take some additional steps. They need to get their debtor to sign a statement that acknowledges that there's going to be an entry made on the Personal Property Securities Register. Then they need to register that interest, and to get proper protection under that Ramalpa clause, they need to do all of what I've just said before they deliver the goods to the client. I wonder how many people are really doing that, or how many businesses still consider that they're protected under the Ramalpa clause. The next area I want to move to is management of costs, or cost control. Now, CCH undertook some very interesting research, which they commissioned a research organisation to do for them, which they released in April this year, which identified that the biggest single problem, according to 1,018 small business operators that they talked to, was the failure to manage costs or anticipate rising costs. It was in a report called The Fine Line Between Failure and Success. Now, I've been reading these type of surveys that MYOB, universities, FMRC, Smith Inc. produce, and over the last 25 years I cannot recall any previously that have got such a high concern about management of costs. So obviously this is part and parcel of what's happening out there in the business community at present. So how can accountants assist in this? Well, we think you should be operating as a cost consultant for your clients by looking at the direct cost evaluation, seriously looking at what's going on in the purchasing of goods that the business is going to process and resell. Have they got appropriate procedures in place to check that they're receiving what they're paying for, that the quality is okay? And what's the situation on labour costs? Are they reviewing it? Are they incorporating all of the costs of labour, such as the labour on costs, in any quotations that they're issuing for quotes? Then you've got these other key costs that are happening all the time: electricity, water, telephone. Is they introduce procedures to try to minimise those costs? Travel. Is there strategies to remove travel costs or to reduce it? Should they be looking at conducting conferences via webinar or Skype? Wastage, pilferage and theft are huge costs to businesses. Have they looked at any sort of strategy to try to reduce those costs? So our suggestion to you is that one of the things you can look at performing is the role of cost consultant for your clients, and all the material to assist you to do that is within ESS Biz Tools. So we can offer a range of non-compliance services to help you meet the challenges in 2014. I'm just going to pause and see if anyone of you have raised any questions. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to type them in and send them in to us, and we'll answer them for you. Now, we do have, and I just want to mention this at this stage, we have a special discount offer which we've extended to the 19th of December. It's a 33% discount on our Gold package. The Gold package of ESS Biz Tools includes a 12-month 24/7 subscription to everything within ESS Biz Tools, including a subscription to ESS Biz Grants. Now, we reduced this price as part of our response to the digital disruption forecast in the Deloitte report. We know things are tough out there, but for less than $2,000 for the next 12 months, you can get access to all of our material. There is a money-back guarantee if you have used the material for a few months and then find that you're not getting a benefit. But I really challenge you, if you are serious about offering some diversified services, we really do believe that this is one of the easiest ways to start getting ready to prepare for the challenges that are going to confront accountants very squarely in 2014 and 2015. For less than somewhere between 6 and 10 of your charge out hours, you can subscribe to ESS Biz Tools. Quite frankly, I believe it would take nearly that time, 6 to 10 hours, just to write the debtor's systems manual that comes as part of ESS Biz Tools, without looking at all the other material. So for $1989, which includes GST, you can get that product to help you. So we move on now, we just talk about some other aspects of ESS Biz Tools. Within the Introduction to Business Advisory Services, there are 9 modules which will help you get ready to deliver business advisory services. And then we've talked about the product modules, and on the screen you've got 5 of the product modules that are available. So these are fully prepared, ready to use with forms and articles, quotation forms, and there's some of the others that are prepared, ready for use. And in 2014 we are producing 6 new modules, and they're listed on the screen there at present. So that will be over the 2014 period. So if you are a subscriber, as we finish and install these modules, they automatically become part of your subscription. So you get access to them. We're not asking you for any more money at that stage. We'd like you to think you're going to renew your subscription at the end of the 12 months. But whatever we add to the site in that 12 months, you are able to use. So the business advisory tools include what's on the screen there at present. It's a wide range, so each of those modules has got all of that type of information available. We also produce a monthly newsletter. I mentioned that before. You can badge it and send it to your clients. The articles are prepared on the basis of offering business advisory services to your clients. Most of the articles have a call to action. So we might have talked about cash flow management when we finish. If you would like to have a discussion with us about your cash flow management problems, please contact us. That's a call to action, trying to get the client who's read your newsletter to come in and have a discussion with you about those services. And you can add or delete material as you see fit if you wish. We also include some information about reference material. So if there is articles within ESS Biz Tools on a subject that's been referred to within the newsletter, we give you a heads up on that by saying, here's some additional information you might want to read before you have a discussion with a client. So if a client rings you up and says, I've read something about Export Market Development Grant in your newsletter, can you tell me how it will work with my business? If you can get your receptionist or secretary or whoever to take a message, tell the client you ring them back. If you need to refresh your memory on the Export Market Development Grant, we will have a link there to the paper within ESS Biz Tools so that you can do so. You can remove the information about these reference papers before you send the newsletter to your client, and you can insert your own message there. It might be a seminar that you've got coming up, or it might be an award one of your clients has won as being the best business in the area, or whatever. Client mentoring and coaching. This all came about because one afternoon a few years ago I had a phone call from one of our original subscribers in Perth who 10 years later is still a subscriber to our service. And he said, Pete, I've got a new client coming in, or I think it's going to be a client. I've been trying to get this business for 3 years, and I want to blow them away. I want to impress them. So I want to show them that we are different, how we have differentiated our services. And part of that is the ESS Biz Tools material. So what papers should I give them? So I wrapped off about 10 papers, and he said, that's great. Why don't you put that into a system so that next time I get someone coming in that's only starting in business, I don't have to ring you, it's already there. So that was the birth of client mentoring and coaching. Since then it's grown to 13 modules. So we've got things like starting a business, being a little bit interested in management, being very interested in management, dealing with banks, business plans, networks, getting investment ready, exporting, and a few other areas. So those modules are prepared on the basis that we have pre-prepared material that you can progressively forward to clients to better educate them. And with each email or mail out there is an accompanying letter which we've developed, which you can change if you wish, but the template's there. And there's a survey form. And the survey form plays a very important role, because our suggestion is that 5 days after the material has been sent to the client, your client administration officer, client services officer, or an admin person rings the client and inquires how they went with that material. And what they're trying to find out is whether that client wants to come in and have a further discussion. Because unashamedly, we have prepared, and many of our accounting subscribers around Australia are using client mentoring and coaching to convince the client that the accounting firm can offer a wider range of services than just being a tax return firm, so that the accounting firm can come across as being a firm that is offering a chief financial officer services. Leadership. I mentioned earlier that leadership modules have been written by Peter McDougall from the Leadership Academy. They take you through 9 series looking at introduction to leadership, teams and teamwork, making the difference, developing relationships and trust, counselling and coaching, delegation and problem solving. All very important issues for leadership. And we believe for a firm that is wanting to offer business advisory services, it's very essential that the younger accountants or managers that might be involved in delivering a lot of the business advisory services program individually go through a leadership training program, because they're going to have to learn how to be leaders. They're going to have to learn how to communicate to the other team members within your firm, and how to carry that off in dealing with clients, because this is not an easy process. If it was easy, the 10,000 accounting firms in Australia would be doing it instead of only a couple of hundred. But we believe if you're going to survive in this accountancy market with this 32% reduction, that firms really need to come to grips with how to effectively deliver what we're starting to call a chief financial officer service to your clients, so that they can get a far better understanding of the products that you are able to offer to them. We also have client seminars and webinars. This was one of the first products that we developed 10 years ago, and we've now got 35 within the system. About 15 of them are 1-hour seminars. The others are all for various time phases from 3 hours through to 15 hours. I'm not suggesting you run a 15-hour seminar, but it's been devised so that you present it in 5 3-hour sessions. Some of our subscribers like the 5 3-hour sessions and still run them every year. There's a half-day seminar there, because some firms just like running one big seminar a year. So we've devised a half-day seminar, and we've given you a suggested program and all the material for a 4-hour seminar. Whereas some other firms still like having an annual seminar. Normally they run it in June or July. So we have a seminar which will run for 8 hours. Obviously there's a few breaks in there, and we think you should use a keynote speaker as part of it. But it's a great way to promote your accountancy business. My own firm years ago, the first one we had, we filled the club that we rented in, a leagues club, with 320 people. That's all the room would hold, with tables. And the following year we had nearly 1,000 people. We hired a school assembly hall. And it's amazing the benefit that you can get. 1,000 was too many people, I've got to admit. Then we cut them back in future years to only 200 to 300 people. 1,000 was just a bit too many to manage. But they're a great way, a seminar, and obviously these days a webinar, of promoting the material. Everything's prepared. All you've got to do is read the material. So you have invitation letters, registration forms, news releases if you want to send them to your local media, free media in the capital cities. Obviously in the regional and country areas there's very active and vibrant media services in radio, TV and newspapers that are always looking for information. You can get great publicity and get great recognition. and it allows you to be seen as an expert by your clients and your prospects, and also by other people. The key allied people like bankers and solicitors can see your firm in action and see that you're fair income about offering a greater range of services to your clients. The ESS papers themselves, there's 480 papers that are targeted at small businesses. There's also 50 papers that are targeted at accountants. And for every one of those 530 papers, there are PowerPoint slides that you can use either in the seminars or in small group discussions with your clients or prospects, or as most of our subscribers do in the first few months, in staff training for their own team, in getting people to start thinking about real business issues that they would have confronted if they'd been employed as an accountant or a CFO in a larger organisation. Because we believe that a SME CEO has basically got the same issues, the same problems as what a CEO in a larger company has. But the small business guy has got no in-house experts, he's got no CFO, he's got no in-house lawyer, he's got no in-house sales manager half the time, he probably hasn't got an R&D manager. He or she are operating on their own. And we believe that there's a real role that the accountancy industry can provide to supply a chief financial officer service for those clients. Because each of those SMEs, we believe, needs the services of a chief financial officer type person every week. It might only be for half an hour, or it might be for 2 hours, or it might be a day a week. But the services is needed. The logical group to provide it, especially with all these dire forecasts as what is going to happen to the traditional compliance-based accountancy business, is an accountancy firm. But if accountants don't respond to the challenges, there are other people out there, not as well qualified as accountants in most cases, who are prepared to offer those services. ESS Biz Grants, as a gold subscriber for this special package we have, you get a free subscription to that product. It operates on its own website. It's a quick and easy way to identify grants for small businesses. We believe accountants need to be proactive in identifying grants for their clients, not reactive. Our suggestion is that you would complete the profile as part of the annual accounts preparation. It takes 6 minutes to put the basic data in, another 6 minutes to answer some more advanced questions, which obviously someone that knows something about the client needs to answer. And then you can produce a report so that when you're having a discussion with your client on the annual accounts, you're able to have a conversation with him or her to identify the grants that they might be interested in applying for. And then in over 90% of cases, the client will ask you to go ahead and prepare the application, and that's when you can start charging for this as a separate assignment. And then there is a real possibility, if you're prepared to do some of the work that emerges, to look at performing some of the tasks for a government grant and getting paid anywhere between 50 and 80% of that fee by a government agency. So I mentioned earlier, the most common grant for small businesses is Enterprise Connect. It applies to 13 industries. The sort of work that I've done or I've seen other accountants perform under Enterprise Connect includes business plans, strategic plans, human resources systems manuals, debtors review, chart of accounts review, facilitating the client's management meetings once a month for 6 months. Whole range of budgets, cash flow forecasts, obviously. Now the client can receive a grant of up to $20,000 on a 50% basis, so there's $40,000 in the pool. and there also can be group applications where a group of similar-minded businesses that are working in a supply chain or a network can apply. And individually they may be able to apply for that $20,000 each, so you can have quite a pool of money. And what can come into that type of relationship is project management work, because someone needs to be administering a fund of money that might stand at $160,000 between the $80,000 odd that the Enterprise Connect may have contributed and the $80,000 the clients have got to put in. Commercialisation Australia. There's a big story in the Sydney Morning Herald today that someone has sent me. Now, I live in North Queensland, and some of the businesses that I mentioned there I've been involved in. And the heading is $6 million from Commercialisation Australia into Regional Australia. So there's some real benefits out of a grant program like that. They've got what they call skills and knowledge, which covers business plans, market research, intellectual property searches, patent advice, a grant of up to $50,000 on an 80% basis. The client has to have developed a new product, process or service. How many of your clients have looked at Commercialisation Australia? Are you aware of it? There are some businesses around Australia earning a lot of fees out of that grant program. And Commercialisation Australia then has 3 other streams which are worth a lot more money that can end up at $2 million on a 50-50 basis for early stage commercialisation. So in summary, your investment to ESS Biz Tools at our special discount price is $1,990 including GST. We've extended this discount offer to close the business on the 19th of December. That's the Thursday. That gives us the Friday to finalise your installation, give you your password and username in case you want to work over the Christmas New Year period. If you don't, you'll know that the system is there ready for you to use when you return to work in the new year. We really believe that our product will help you to deliver the type of services that the marketplace is looking for, and that Deloitte and others are predicting you will have immense problems in your business unless you look at services like this, which will allow you to develop new income streams for your business. I've just checked, there's no questions being sent through to me. If you have any, can you send them through now? Or alternatively, you can send me an email and we will answer them. If you wish to apply for a guest login, if you haven't already done so, please go to our website, www.essbiztools.com.au, and you can apply for a guest login, and that will give you a chance to have a look at the website itself. As I said before, and as I'm saying to you on the screen, this special offer goes to the 19th of December 2013. If you become subscribers to ESS Biz Tools, you will be invited to a subscribers-only webinar once a month, whereby we discuss various issues of material that's within our product that will assist you. The theme for January is the Personal Property Securities Register, a system to help your clients ensure that they're protecting themselves from this new register, or the consequences if they don't register appropriately. And we also produce each month an alert which goes to our subscribers, which again gives various hints on products within ESS Biz Grants which can assist to deliver business advisory services to your clients. So So thank you very much for participating in this webinar today. As I said before, if you do have any questions, please send me an email and I'll get back to you. I really do look forward to welcoming you as subscribers to ESS Biz Tools and ESS Biz Grants. If I don't talk to you again before Christmas, from ESS Biz Tools, we take this opportunity of wishing you a happy Christmas and a very prosperous 2014. Thank you very much for participating today. Goodbye.